When Gravity Falls started airing on Disney Channel back in 2012, people just couldn't get enough of not only the crazy supernatural shenanigans, but the characters as well. Whether it's Dipper or Mabel, Grunkle Stan, Ford, Seuss, or any other character that we meet along the way, they all have their own unique charm, which brings something to the show. But it's not always heroes that are the most memorable. Enter Bill Cipher. Yeah, you knew where this was going. An immensely powerful dream demon from a different dimension, Bill desires to descend the rest of existence into chaos by achieving a physical form and opening a rift between the nightmare realm and Earth. As Bill Cipher is such an enigmatic entity, in today's video we're going to have a look through his entire story from beginning to end, covering all the bases to get everyone fully up to speed on the Triangular Terror. For trillions of years before the events in the show, the second dimension is where Bill called home, and he hated it, describing it as the dimension of flat minds in a flat world with flat dreams. He found it far too simple for the complex demon. The hate had plenty of time to bubble, of course, and it quickly turned into action, as Bill liberated the second dimension. Well, in his eyes anyway, or I guess his eye. He's only got one. The dimension, which was home to his parents, was completely plunged into chaos by his own hand, burning for the rest of eternity. Bill then took refuge in a smaller, bubbling in-between dimension, a lawless and unstable crawlspace known as the Nightmare Realm. However, not all was perfect with his newfound home, as due to the lawlessness of the realm, it was destined to collapse in on itself. Knowing the fate of the place, Bill desperately wanted a way to keep his world alive. So he stumbled on a prophecy, which said that to keep the Nightmare Realm stable, it would have to merge with the third dimension. And for him to achieve this, he'd need to contact humanity. Due to being a child from the second dimension, Bill has no physical form to speak of, meaning direct contact with those in the third dimension was incredibly difficult. The 180-degree demon managed to find a solution though, by entering the dreams of those in the third dimension, which is also where he picked up the name Bill Cipher, because his true name would cause them to evaporate with an expression of horror and ecstasy plastered on their face. That's even if they could wrap their head around a glowing gold, big-eyed, bow-tie-wearing flying triangle talking to them in their dreams.
Hiya, smart guy. Whoa, don't have a heart attack, you're not 92 yet.
Bill's plan led him to target the natives of Oregon, specifically the place that would eventually become Gravity Falls. Modoc the Wise was one of those natives, and he piqued Bill's interest, so much so that Bill asked the local shaman to construct an interdimensional gateway to the Nightmare Realm. Things didn't quite go to plan though, as the construction was built out of twigs and, well, twigs aren't exactly capable of opening interdimensional portals. After failing, Modoc soon learned of a prophecy that foretold any further interaction with Bill would cause apocalyptic damage to the point of near extinction, which drove Modoc to light himself on fire in the hope it would sever ties with the Dream Demon. But Bill wasn't gonna go away that easily, and so the natives were left looking for another way to erase him. Eventually, they discovered the Bill Cipher Zodiac, a prophecy wheel which can be used to defeat him. The Zodiac has 10 symbols: a heart, a pentagram, a question mark, a journal, a crescent, glasses, a llama, an ice bag, a pine tree, and a shooting star. These encircle an empty middle piece, which is the perfect size for the one and only Bill Cipher. This powerful magic succeeded in trapping Bill for what was hoped to be eternity. The natives left the prophecy and with it a story, telling future generations of the potential terror of Bill Cipher and what unfathomable danger the prophecy holds. However, with this prison comes a key to release, in the form of a powerful dark incantation, and of course, the natives made it abundantly clear to never utter it. Due to the magnitude and danger of the prophecy, the natives abandoned the land it lies in, claiming it to be cursed, land that would later be rediscovered and be shaped into Gravity Falls. Now, back to a time more familiar to us, the late 20th century. Okay, familiar for a few of us. I imagine a lot of you guys watching don't know what a fax machine is, but I digress. During the late 20th century, a young Stanford Pines was on a mission to uncover why Gravity Falls was home to some of the most miraculous creatures on the planet, where supernatural became natural. His research spanned for 6 years.
I began to keep a journal.
Where he managed to develop an assortment of high-tech inventions to aid his research into the almost impossible place. But after all this time, with numerous sightings of weird and wonderful creatures and strange goings-on, Ford was stuck. He still hadn't found out exactly what caused Gravity Falls to be such a hotbed for the unusual, until he discovered the natives' paintings detailing Bill Cipher. Ford ignored the warning of bringing back Bill into existence and exclaimed the forbidden incantation, which summoned Bill straight into Ford's mind. Bill, being the near omniscient being he is, sensed Ford's intelligence, but more so, his ego, and latched onto it by stating his goal is to find a genius to inspire once a century. With Ford thinking he'd finally get the answers to his research, he formed a partnership with Bill, who did actually show him a couple of secrets behind Gravity Falls. Perhaps the most pressing bit of lore revealed by Bill is the reasoning for Gravity Falls' strange properties, being so bizarrely unique due to a dimensional rift where another dimension's weirdness leaks through. Ford then set out to build an interdimensional gateway, just as MODOK failed to do centuries before, recruiting his friend Fiddleford McGucket to help him complete the machine. All the while, Bill is in Ford's mindscape, slowly lulling him into a false sense of security through manipulation, to the point that Ford starts to think him and Bill are friends. Although that friendship soon mutates, and Ford begins bordering on being obsessed with Bill, as he fills his home with triangular-shaped trinkets, rugs, and statues, even going as far as remodeling his home in the shape of a triangle. Fiddleford notices the changes in his friend and worries that something serious may be wrong, as Ford hadn't really given him much information on why they were building the gate, and more importantly, who this mysterious collaborator feeding Ford the ideas in the first place was. But that aside, the two continued to work on the gate, which led to its first test run on January 18, 1982. Things didn't quite go to plan, however, as a test dummy used in the trial got sucked into the gateway, which wouldn't be too bad if Fiddleford wouldn't have accidentally been sucked up as well. Ford was quick to act, but not before Fiddleford made his way through the portal, causing him to mutter gibberish when finally back onto the side of safety. Although these incoherent words soon make sense as Fiddleford warns Ford of a prophecy of a beast with one eye. The two reunite in frosty circumstances, and Ford brings his brother up to speed about the dangers he faces with Bill. But their brotherly feud still comes to the fore as the brothers start to fight over Ford's research journal. Their scuffle leads Stan to punch Ford, accidentally activating the gateway and sucking Ford in, leaving nothing but a pair of glasses for Stan to pick up. 30 years pass, and with Ford gone, Bill now has no access to the third dimension, having lost his human pawn. And that brings us right to the present day. Well, present day for the show, which is 2012. Throughout the first season of the show, Bill is only hinted at still being around, through imagery like old triangles, which is actually in every episode up until his introduction in the show, which is the episode titled The Dreamscapers, where power-hungry Gideon Gleeful is attempting once again to take over the Mystery Shack.
Oh no, not the broom!
He summons the Triangle of Terror and tells him to steal Grunkle Stan's safe combination directly from his head, so Gideon can steal the Shack's deeds. Bill agrees, knowing that Stan is the brother of Ford, and that there must be a way to connect the dots. But his agreement comes with one condition. Gideon must return the favor and help Bill in an unknown plan which isn't revealed to the audience. Meanwhile, Mabel and Seuss are watching the devious deal unfold, and decide to hightail it to Dipper to get his help to follow Bill into his uncle's mind.
Beware Bill, the most powerful and dangerous creature I've ever encountered.
Once inside Stan's mindscape, Bill hopes to use the trio as means to find the combination. In the meantime, he brags about how powerful he is in this realm and that he can see inside everyone's mind. To prove this, he summons Xyler and Kraz, two hyper 90s dreamboats from Mabel's imagination, and tricks the trio into handing over the combination.
If only people knew the truth, that hidden behind this vending machine, I secretly have
Boring.
At some point, Seuss is separated from the gang, and Bill takes his form to seal the deal and claim his prize. But before he can relay the combo to Gideon, Mabel shoots the memory door and the combination into another memory of the bottomless pit. This infuriates Gideon, who calls off the deal with Bill, who promptly goes nuclear, bringing Mabel and Seuss's nightmares to life, and killing both Xyler and Kraz.
My dream boys!
Dipper then tells the duo that they're in someone's mindscape, meaning they can do whatever they want just by thinking hard enough, like being in a dream. With this knowledge, The trio battle Bill to the point it looks like Bill is going to be defeated once and for all. But instead of going out on his sword, Bill decides to stop the mindscape altogether and eject everyone. But before they go, Bill lets the trio know that whilst they've impressed him today, there is darkness like no other coming, and then transforms into the Zodiac we saw earlier before vanishing. The next time we see Bill is in Season 2's Sock Opera, where Dipper is trying to figure out a laptop's password. The Dream Demon appears and offers Dipper a chance to get the password in return for a favor. Dipper declines the offer as he thinks there may be a chance he can unlock it without the dangers of dealing with Bill. But time ticks by, and the laptop is now nearing total data erasure. And who pops up giving Dipper one final chance at getting the pass? Bill. Dipper takes him up on his deal, which is the password for a puppet. As the two shake hands, Dipper quickly regrets the deal, as it's revealed Bill's chosen puppet is Dipper himself.
So what puppet are you gonna pick anyway?
Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny.
Now possessing Dipper's body, Bill destroys the laptop and heads to Mabel's puppet show to acquire Dipper's journal, where he almost gets the journal from her. Luckily, Mabel manages to overpower Bill and remove his essence from Dipper. But in one last gasp attempt, Bill possesses one of Mabel's actual puppets. Thankfully, she manages to burn them all to a cinder using Puppet Master pyrotechnics, leaving Bill once again to only appear in the show through imagery and Easter eggs. The second season of the show also saw the return of Ford, who for 30 years had been wandering through different dimensions. And in the episode The Last Mabelcorn, the isosceles of insanity returns in one of Ford's dreams, telling Ford that he's been preparing all this time for the big day, and that Ford can't keep the interdimensional rift safe forever. Bill simulates just exactly what he's got planned for the third dimension when he rips open a red triangular portal in the sky and sets fire to Ford's mindscape before leaving through the portal, telling Ford that whilst he has no form in the third dimension now, things change. Later in the same episode, Bill appears in flashbacks as Ford explains how he knows him, covering much of what was said a bit earlier. You know, the gateway, Fiddleford accidentally falling in, and most of all, that the demon tricked Ford into building it in the first place. The episode ends with Bill watching from afar as Dipper and Ford place a Bill-proof dome around the Mystery Shack by using moonstones, mercury, and unicorn hair. The next episode, which features Bill, is Dipper and Mabel versus the future. And with some time having passed since his last appearance, Bill has figured out a loophole to get around the protective force field, possessing people. Or to be more specific for this episode, Blendon Blandon, a time-traveling associate of Dipper and Mabel. He uses Blendon as a vessel to approach Mabel as he senses her wish for wanting summer to never end, and convinces her to hand over the interdimensional rift, as he states that the rift can create a time-stopping bubble to grant her wish.
Yes, that's it. Just hand it over and I'll do my thing. Oh, jeez, Rick.
But as soon as Mabel hands over the rift, Bill reveals himself and smashes the rift underfoot. This allows Bill to enter the third dimension, ripping open portals, allowing different dimensions to bleed into one, creating Weirdmageddon. That betrayal then follows straight on into a three-parter of the same name. The episode begins with Bill gaining a physical form and imprisoning Mabel in a bubble, before introducing himself and his new friends as the new rulers of Gravity Falls. The townsfolk refuse to give in, however. But of course, Preston Northwest welcomes him and asks him to be one of Bill's horsemen of the apocalypse. Bill declines and decides to disfigure Preston's face to instill fear in the people of Gravity Falls, but then goes on a rampage redecorating the town, sending out eye bats to abduct the townspeople, summoning the Pyramid, and bubbles which create madness in everything they touch. Heck, he even recreates the show's theme song whilst he's there. While all hell is breaking loose, Ford has been preparing to shoot Bill back into the Nightmare Realm with his quantum destabilizer. But he misses! The Dream Demon realizes he's under attack, so he demolishes the tower that Ford is stationed in. Ford tells Dipper while he's under the rubble of the tower that there is another way to defeat Bill. But before he can spill the secret, Bill appears, towering over the duo, and captures Ford in stasis. He makes an example out of him to everyone, stating that without Ford, all of this wouldn't be possible, and offers him one final chance to join the side of evil. Obviously, Ford refuses, so as punishment for this insolence, Bill turns Ford into a golden statue that is to be used as a back scratcher? Bill's attention is then turned towards Dipper, who is frantically searching for the way to defeat Bill, ending up trying to punch the Dream Demon. However, all this does is send Dipper flying backwards and making the three journals spill out onto the ground. By the way, just to avoid confusion, there's 3 journals in the show and 1 in real life, which I mentioned earlier. Bill grabs the journals and burns them to a crisp in front of Dipper. However, 2 pages remain singed on the floor under Bill. But the Dream Demon doesn't care. He offers up Dipper to 8-Ball and Teeth as a tasty snack and hightails it away with the rest of his supernatural posse in a modified Bill-mobile back to the pyramid.
So, you wanna eat him or something?
Oh, definitely. Let's eat him.
Having succeeded in his plan so far, Bill decides to throw a party back at the pyramid, but it's quickly gate-crashed by the Time Paradox Enforcement Squadron, the Time Baby and Blendin Blandin, who attempt to arrest Bill for possessing Blendin and trying to destroy reality. That doesn't really work though, as Bill vaporizes the TPES and Time Baby instantly, and gets the party started once more. Soon after, Teeth and 8-Ball show up and tell Bill that they failed to eat Dipper and ask him if he's worried about Dipper freeing Mabel. But a confident Bill tells his 2 friends to relax as there's someone on the case already. The second part of Weirdmageddon begins with Bill being in power for 4 straight days. And most, if not all, of the townsfolk have been petrified and stacked into a huge throne of frozen human agony for Bill to perch atop of. Bill announces to his friends that he has a plan to take over the rest of the world, especially considering how easy it was for him to take Gravity Falls. As the chaotic creatures are putting their plan into action, they come across a strange force field which prevents them from leaving the land they've just conquered. Bill vents his frustration and confusion at being trapped within, as real power is literally a fingertip away.
Global domination. I could get used to it. What?
After some thought, Bill realizes there's only one man who could understand the shield and potentially help him move past it: Ford. Obviously, Bill knows that awakening Ford from his frozen state isn't without risk, but before he could put any plan into action, he's informed that Gideon, Mabel's jailer, has failed to stop Dipper from entering Mabel's bubble. Bill doesn't seem fazed, however, as he tells Keel that Mabel's bubble is one of his most diabolical traps. The final installment of Weirdmageddon trilogy, titled Take Back the Falls, begins with Bill going ahead with his idea to reinstate Ford back to the land of the living, and explains to Ford that he and his friends can't escape Gravity Falls due to the mysterious force field. Ford thinks that due to the magnetism for weirdness that Gravity Falls has, the force is so strong that anything deemed weird, or at the very least out of the ordinary, is prevented from leaving the confines of the force field. Ford then tells Bill that due to his background in studying this very thing, he knows there's one way to break the magnetism, which would allow Bill and his friends to flee Gravity Falls. But of course, Ford refuses to tell Bill, even after the Triangle of Terrors offers him unparalleled power in a dimension of Ford's own, where he would basically be a god. In a fit of desperation, Bill tries to climb once again into the mindscape of Ford to find the equation, which would allow him to leave. But by Bill's own rules, he can't enter the mindscape of someone without first making some sort of deal. When you're playing Bill's games though, they're never fair. So instead of making a deal there and then, Bill plays a waiting game where he tortures Ford to try and find a weakness in him to broker a deal. Mid-torture, Bill is interrupted by a loud noise coming from the horizon, where the Shacktron is waiting for him, a huge mecha-style robot converted out of the Mystery Shack, which was built by Old Man McGucket to battle against Bill Cipher and to bring Ford back to safety. Bill sends his hench maniacs to fight the Shacktron, but they're quickly dispatched by the machine. Embarrassed, Bill is left puzzled on what to do next when he hears Ford congratulating the twins, and there it is. Ford's weakness. Bill realizes that Ford cares deeply about the twins, so he tells Ford that whilst torturing him wasn't very effective, maybe torturing his beloved great-nephews may be more worthwhile. Bill transformed a distraught Ford back into the gold statue and flew to the Shacktron to attack. He becomes a giant and slams a humongous fist down onto the machine, which is repelled due to Bill-proof force field from earlier. An enraged Bill goes to town on the shack, even if his punches are being blocked, just out of blind fury. The refugees piloting the machine use the dinosaur attachment to rip out Bill's eye to distract him, so they can rescue Ford. A team land in the pyramid and plan on first unfreezing everyone in Bill's human throne. Gideon Gleeful, now trapped in a cage as punishment for letting Dipper in Mabel's bubble, tells the team that Mayor Tyler is the weight-bearing statue in the throne, and should he be dislodged, everyone will be, meaning everyone will be restored to life. Dipper pulls the mayor out, and the chair collapses, knocking Gideon's cage out of the sky. Everyone picks themselves up off the ground, and are finally back to their true forms. Even Ford unfreezes from his golden statue. He tells the entire town that the way to defeat Bill is just as the natives did centuries ago, with the Zodiac. If 10 people stand in a circle on a drawn version of the zodiac, and the people within the circle embody the symbols on which they stand, and hold hands, a force will be created that will once again imprison Bill. Meanwhile, Bill is still fighting the Shacktron when he realizes the legs of the machine aren't encapsulated within the force field. So he rips a leg off the Shacktron and smashes it into the machine, sending it flying. Back in the pyramid, those of the townsfolk which aren't represented by the symbols of the zodiac have stepped aside to leave Dipper, Mabel, Seuss, Wendy, Gideon, Robbie, Pacifica, McGucket, Ford, and Stan, who are about to complete the ritual to finally rid their world of the one-eyed evil, when Ford corrects Stan's grammar, which results in the two brothers fighting, giving enough time for Bill to appear, looming over the team now fully regenerated. He burns away the drawn zodiac and captures Ford and Stan, binding them with ropes, and while the others begin to fight, with a click of his fingers, Bill transforms everyone but the Pines into tapestries with screaming faces. Side note, that is so disturbing. The Dream Demon then imprisons Dipper and Mabel and uses them as a bargaining chip to gain access into Ford's mind, so he can finally get his equation and spread his chaos and discord across the entire world. Bill is quickly interrupted by the twins, who tell Ford not to give in. An enraged Bill squares up to the imprisoned twins, and before he can tell them anything of note, Mabel pulls out her spray can and sprays Bill right in his eye, which the demon had just regenerated after having it torn out. This distraction manages to free the older twins, while Dipper uses his size-altering flashlight to make the prison so big they can just fit through the bars with ease. After escaping, Dipper and Mabel taunt Bill to chase them down a long hallway, and as Bill goes to chase the twins, Ford and Stan try to make a break for it, but are quickly caught by Bill, who places them in a prison similar to the one he just had Mabel and Dipper in. Then he transforms into a monstrous red and yellow form and chases the young twins, planning on turning them into corpses. He manages to capture the two and gives Ford one final ultimatum: let Bill into his mindscape, or one of the twins will be killed. Ford reluctantly gives into the demon's demands, but places a condition on the deal. From the moment they shake hands, Ford's family will be safe from harm, and Bill gladly accepts transferring his essence into Ford, leaving behind a solid stone statue. Now in Ford's mindscape, all Bill can see is a white void with a singular wooden door. He opens it to reveal Stan? It turns out that while Bill was chasing Dipper and Mabel, he and Ford swapped clothes and pretended to be each other in the hope Bill would fall for their plan. Back in reality, Ford takes out the memory gun to permanently erase Stan's memory, and along with it, Bill. Trapped in blue flames, Stan tells Bill that the game is over. He's lost and his existence is about to be wiped forever. This sends Bill into panic overdrive as he desperately tries to bargain, but soon realizes his powers have been evaporated, slowly melting into nothingness. Bill begins to babble all sorts of backwards messages, while his form takes various shapes, colors, and sizes, as Stan steps up and punches a weakened Bill into non-existence, and waits as his mind is consumed by the blue fire. Following Bill's defeat, everyone is freed from the tapestries, the henchmaniacs, and all of Bill's evil architecture is sucked back into the nightmare realm. And with one great shockwave, everything is back to normal. The only thing that remains as a reminder of the evil that once was is a petrified statue of Bill's form. The last time we ever see Bill is in the credits of this episode, where a live-action version of his petrified body lays decaying on the forest floor, leaving the Triangle of Terror's reign of tyranny to echo throughout time forever. Also, fun fact, there was an official scavenger hunt in real life to find the thing. With no current plans to bring back the show, it looks like that may be it for our one-eyed beast, or so it may seem. As with Stan's memory being brought back after the wiping, who's to say Bill couldn't come back too? Also, if you reverse the footage of Bill's demise, you hear him calling out to ancient powers to allow him to return. So, who knows? But even if that is the end, that takes nothing away from him as a character. The way Bill was written throughout the show always made us feel like an appearance from him was just around the corner. His likeness popping up throughout the series, and so many other hints, made him become subliminally synonymous with the show. And with his wit and charm, it's not hard to see why he was someone we all love to hate. Let us know down below if you're satisfied with the end of Bill's story. And also let us know what character you'd like for us to cover next for a video just like this one. But for now, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.